Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Insider's View and After the Music. In this episode, we spoke to Jess Chapman, monitor engineer for artists such as Michael Franti and Spearhead, Black Label Society, and Slightly Stoopid, among several others. This was a very exciting conversation because Jess told us all about all the technical issues, all the logistical issues, and every single thing related to the industry itself. We are very thankful to Jess Chapman for sharing all these experiences with us. This is priceless information and amazing stories. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and enjoy our talk with Jess Chapman. How you doing, Jess?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I am excellent and very, very happy to have you here with us. So good to see you, man. It's been a while.
It has.
So excited, man, about this. Thank you for doing this. So we were talking a few minutes ago about you just got back from a KISS cruise. Tell us all about that, man.
Well, it's on a giant cruise ship. It was on a ship called the Norwegian Pearl. Or no, this one was the Norwegian Jewel. It's like the sister ship to that other boat I just mentioned. But basically, people would pay, packages for either 1 week or 2 weeks on this boat that KISS, the band KISS, does every year. And they hang out on a boat with their favorite artists.
So for the fans, it must be amazing. For the crew, it must be not so amazing.
It could be work, it depends on how much you like KISS or, whatever band is playing on the boat. Some people might really enjoy it. Other people could, take it or leave it, but the job. So.
Awesome. And so you were there. Tell us what you were doing there. You were there working with which artist and doing what exactly?
So I was monitor engineer for a band called Black Label Society. And that is, it's a band that Zakk Wylde, if you ever heard of any, Ozzy songs, you probably heard him on them, but he's like one of the guitar gods, and Black Label Society is his band. And I was a monitor engineer, and they had a couple shows on this KISS cruise.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how long, and just in this case in particular, how long was the actual cruise, and how many shows is there a show every day, or how exactly does it work?
There was not for us. Other bands, like when I was with Michael Franti, we would do similar cruises, and he would make us do a show every day. Where Black Label, this was an easier one. We just had 2 shows, and they were both on the pool deck. And so we didn't even have to move any of our gear really. But normally there'd be 2 or 3, or 3 or 4 shows with, in a normal situation. You do the pool deck once, and then they have a theater called the Stardust Theater that's, down a couple decks, of the boat. And then there's, for all the smaller bands or lesser known bands, there's like different stages all around the boat, that they get to play on. And so it's pretty much just constantly music and drinking and food and more music and drinking and food for, like 4 days until you're ready to get off the thing.
So it's like a mobile festival with the same bands rotating.
That's C. Yep. Pretty much.
Wow, that's surreal. That's definitely surreal. Quite the experience.
So definitely make sure bands that are playing, you're gonna at least enjoy. It won't be.
Awesome. Well, let's take it back a notch, because obviously I am. We go way back. I am very familiar with your work and what all your superpowers are, but for our audience listening to this and watching us, tell us a little bit about your background, how you started in the industry, and how you've been growing all these years.
Well, I was a car mechanic before I was ever a sound engineer, and probably about 1999, I went out to Florida to go to this school called Full Sail. You know it.
Oh yeah.
So But, I originally wanted to be a musician, be in bands and stuff like that. And so I thought it was a, great opportunity to please, my parents who wanted me to go to some kind of school and do something with myself. And it's still at the same time, be a punk and play music, so, so I went out there.
I can relate.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I went to Full Sail, but about halfway through that, I got a job at the House of Blues in Orlando, which is a concert venue, and just started doing stagehand work, and started just doing stagehand work, and they'd have me running, for whatever the band needed, stuff like that, and then eventually I started working on the audio boards and got really good at doing live sound, both monitors and front of house, and the more I worked at the House of Blues, the more bands would come through, and eventually somebody needed a guy and ended up taking me on tour. And then 20 years later, I'm still on tour.
That's unbelievable, man. And how, usually this is the number one question. I mean, we went through it as students at Full Sail and wanting to get in the industry. We went through that phase where we're like, all right, I'm learning all this stuff. Look, it's looking good. I'm digging it. I'm doing well. I'm learning it. But what's next? How the hell do I actually get into the industry? So how did the House of Blues gig happen?
Just a buddy of mine was in the class that, when I started Full Sail, and he was starting Full Sail at the same time. And I heard him talking about working there and doing shows there. And so that intrigued me. It was during one of when I started Full Sail, I went for studio recording engineering, and then I just sort of transferred. I still graduated the program, but as it was during one of the live audio classes of the course, is where I met Ted, and we ended up becoming great friends. And I asked him about the House of Blues, and he kind of looks me up and down, who's this guy? He's just like, yeah, all right, I'll introduce you, And anyway, we ended up becoming great friends, and that was the start of my career.
Wow, it sounds so simple, but people who have done this for a while, to them it's very clear when that transitional moment occurred. Either when they were introduced to someone else, or they just went to the right show. This whole right place, right time, and just a little bit of luck. It really makes a huge difference in someone's career.
No, it does. I was fortunate enough to get to skip all the being an intern working for free phase that a lot of people have to do. You know what I mean? Especially in the studio realm of stuff. Getting people coffee. All the stuff. But I was fortunate that at the House of Blues at the time was these engineers that had already been doing it for 20 years. And they liked me, I liked them. They took me under their wing, and I was very fortunate, and also to find something that I enjoyed doing, and you could also make a little money doing it.
Absolutely.
Not a lot of people like their jobs, so very fortunate in that way.
No doubt. They just they literally just accepted, all right, this is my job. Whatever else I enjoy doing, it'll just be my hobby. So yes, you are definitely a fortunate man. Well, and actually, it's interesting though that you were saying that the actual program you studied at Full Sail was a recording arts program. It wasn't the show production program. I don't know if it even existed back then, but.
No, not like it does now. The school's come a long way since we went there,
Absolutely. So I always talk to my students about that. It's like, I know what you want to do is you want to make music, you want to produce, you want to record, regardless of why you started here. Always keep an open mind, because there's a lot of stuff you don't know yet. I mean, and I'm not talking specifically about technical stuff. I'm talking about all the career opportunities that are out there that you just don't know about them yet, because you haven't been around them. You haven't talked to enough people. You're still too young,
There's tons of revolving doors. You know what I mean? Like I said, I went to recording arts, ended up doing live sound. Another buddy of mine, he was doing the same thing. He wanted to produce and this, that. We went through the same course. He ended up being a Foley mixer for TV and movies, and crushing it. And so, yeah, there's, and like that was not what he set out to do. Live wasn't what I set out to do, but we found each other, and,
that's inspiring. That's inspiring. I mean, and I love that aspect that it's so clear to you. Like, really, it was this person, and you just said it. I got lucky, but obviously it turns out you're really good at it. So that kind of works well.
You met me when I was just a pup at it,
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we were literally both just starting out. I mean, you were still at House of Blues when we met.
Yep. And
also doing a lot of local work as well, right? In other clubs and stuff.
Club, the Social, pretty much any club or bar that was on Orange Avenue there in Orlando, I was working, But that's where you get the chops, is trying to make, shitty systems work, broken things happen,
Oh, yes. Oh, and actually that's a good segue. Like, how has that been? We spoke a few days ago, and you had just gotten back from Brazil, and you mentioned some stuff about the gear that you faced some issues that sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't, depending on where the show is actually taking place. So how has that been, as far as, I assume that the bigger the show, the better the gear, but not necessarily.
You would think, like we had a bigger show down there. It was our last show, and they forgot to bring the console that I require to do these guys, and their reasoning for it was just like, oh, we forgot. Right. Sent my production manager. He lost it. He's like, what if we just forgot to show up? Would that be okay? No, it wouldn't. So, this is the audio stuff we need, and it needs to be here, or, we don't have a show. I'm sorry, But, and then other spots, like Brazil, it was cool, but they're, like I said before, they're about, 5-10 years behind technology, or at least the venues we were playing were, because I know they do Rock in Rio and giant festivals. I've seen all the gear. They have all the, they have access to really good stuff. But I think it was just the market we were playing there. It was just a little more low budget, and they're still learning like protocol.
How big were the shows? Like, how many seaters?
I'd say like House of Blues, like 1,500, 2,000 cap rooms, so not tiny, not like 200 cap rooms, which was sort of the reason, like we thought the gear should have been a little better, But
that's right. Yeah. I mean, we get spoiled when we're doing certain venues.
Oh yeah. And then, just like things that we take for granted here, just 110 power, like their power was all over the place, it's either way too hot or way not enough of it, and gear and amps and, all this digital stuff we're using, it starts to act funny. If you're not getting the right power.
So was that like an aha moment for you guys that, oh God, we need to start traveling with our own power conditioners?
Well, we do, but like step down transformers, just things that we advanced, didn't show up sometimes, and so we just made the days longer. We still did it, we're still happy to be there,
absolutely. And the fans in Brazil are just like hardcore fans, like they really dig it.
Yeah, that was the best part of it, is they showed up, and they were great. It was great. The energy was good. The band fed off them, and, we get to pat ourselves on the back because the band was, as long as the band's happy for us, that's all that matters,
Yes. Yes.
Our job is to be able to make it so the performers can do their job, whatever it is.
Actually, let's take it from there. As a monitor engineer, usually what like as you just said, is if the band's happy, then you did your job. They have to be able to hear themselves right, enjoy the show, etc. But what's the whole protocol? Like, let's say you're about to start a tour as a monitor engineer, who do you have to be in contact with to make sure everything is set? Like all the right gear has been asked for and set up, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, well, it's either the tour manager is usually one that does the higher end, or the production manager, and sometimes they everybody wears multiple hats. So basically it's the tour manager, production manager side of things they got to deal with first, or there's a lot of times they'll bring you in for a dinner or something just to meet the band, because if the band just doesn't like the looks of you, it doesn't matter how good you are. It's like synergy is a big thing. So when I got with Slightly Stoopid, that was a big thing. They brought me down just to hang out in the studio, like paid my full rate just so I could come down and hang out in the studio and to see, if we even liked each other, and turns out we do. And now I've been working with them for, the last year, and that's been great too.
Wow. So it's all about it always starts with being all about the people then.
You could be the best engineer in the world if, you can't live on the bus with these people, or, travel with them, you could be the best engineer in the world and a terrible drunk. You're not going to make it. You know what I mean? So, or vice versa, it's all about, synergy, I guess is the word I'm looking for. But.
Excellent. Wow. That says so much, because a lot of people, I think, have that the other way around. They kind of think that, sometimes they're either let's say their awards or their past gigs or whatever is more important than their personality,
Yeah, and those dudes are usually harder to work with. Like I've had to work with some other engineers that are, they have all the Grammys or the, all the awards on the shelf, and yeah, and I don't know, to me, I mean, I'm happy for him. That's great. But, to me, that's not really what it's about. I still got to live with you, more than I do my own family. I still got to see this person and get along with them, more than I get to see my own friends and family, so it's, attitude is a big thing for sure. Like if you don't want to be there, you probably shouldn't be there, and if you do, you do decide you are going to take this gig, then put your all into it. You know what I mean? Because otherwise it's just, going to be it's going to be a long ride for you if, you're not enjoying it, Yeah,
I mean, it's going to be a long ride for you, and you're going to ruin it for everyone else in the meantime.
Absolutely. But, I've been, I've had a few challenging camps that I've been with, but for the most part, people are professional, as long as, that's pretty much all that matters.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. And as far as once the show happens, let's start with, do you show up until sound check? Are you there from load in? How, like your day to day in a tour as a monitor engineer? How does that go exactly?
On a tour, tour buses and trucks, trailers, all that stuff. I want to be there from the moment the trailer cracks. You know what I mean? I want to see my gear go in and see how it goes in. You know what I mean? Even if I have a systems tech, to set my stuff up for me, I still like to be there and do a lot of it myself. That's a big part of it. That way if something goes wrong, I know exactly where it's going wrong, and I'm just not relying on somebody else to fix my problem for me, So, no, I'm there from the time the trailer opens till the time the trailer closes. We'll set up, usually have about 3 hours to set up everything, like lights will roll in first, or we'll say like a bigger show. We'll say like an amphitheater, first thing that'll happen is the production manager and the riggers will get together and they'll chalk all the points they need to hang for the motors to fly the trusses and the lights and the PA, and then all the lights will roll in, everything will be flown, and then usually monitors rolls in after that. So then I'll set up my world, and hopefully we'll be issue free, and I'll be sitting around waiting for the band to come in and sound check. The band will come sound check, and then there's usually a break time for me unless I'm doing other bands, after the headliner, but yeah, and then do the show. I'm trying to make this sound more exciting than it is.
It's exciting, man. It sounds exciting.
But it can be, just depending on the situation, logistics, there's hard days and there's easy days, just like everything else. But
how in contact are you with the front of house engineer and with the lighting engineer? Like, is there certain like channels that you guys have to go through to make it all work, or does everyone just have their own little island and just stay out of each other's way?
Yeah, lighting and audio, for the most part, try to stay out of each other's way, but there's sometimes we got to integrate with them, but front of house engineer, I definitely have to, be close to, because we're working off all the same stuff, and, we have to develop some sort of a workflow, sometimes what he does out front, affects the sound on stage, if like we're in a crazy concrete room or something, or, some venue's got something stupid like mirrors on the back wall, and, like if something's like coming back at me, I got to let him know, maybe he can help me out, or if I'm feeding back or something on stage, or, something's affecting him out front, we got to come to some sort of a, mutual understanding. When I'm with a louder band, hopefully there's a front of house engineer that can be able to mix over me, without, because like a lot of times they'll be like, can you turn down? I'm like, well, yes, I can turn down, but the band is going to ask me to turn it back up because that's how they want it on stage, So a lot of them, I got to let them know, it's like, I'm not mixing for you, I'm mixing for the band, I will do anything to make it better for you, but just things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so crucial, actually coming to that understanding, balancing it out. And have you ever been in that situation where the front of house engineer is the rock star engineer that only shows up at showtime, that he did not show up at all before, and he's asking you for all this stuff, and that would have been just easier to do it on sound check?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You want to be there, and I've had those guys, and usually those guys don't last too long with the camps I've been with anyways. Yeah, I mean, they're kind of self-proclaimed great engineers, but if I don't, if you're just going to come kick your shoes off at the desk, at showtime, I don't know how to help you,
Yeah, I mean, you said earlier that being, as far as setting up and tearing down, you want to be there, and that must make all the difference, as far as either technically, if there's some sort of situation, but to actually interact and be in constant communication with the whole team, with the stage-hands, with the production crew, everyone, so that they know who to talk to, and so who to talk to as well, because that even in a tour, wherever you go, as far as being in different venues, the local crew must change every time, right?
Yeah, no, we're in a different city every day, but I do run into the same cats, because you generally repeat the same clubs and and venues that you do, so you're gonna run into the same people all the time, which is also crucial. Like, you don't want to, like, you're going to run into them again, you know what I mean? So it's up to you whether you're going to have a good or a bad day next time you see them.
That is good. That is just golden advice, what you just said. And as far like I'm gonna ask a couple technical questions. How has it either made your life easier or more difficult working with in-ears and working with digital boards? I mean, I guess pretty much when you officially started doing this as a full-time thing, I guess digital boards were mainly what you would run into, but I'm just assuming, I might be completely wrong.
No, I came in right on the tail end of analog. So that's when all the first digital stuff was coming out, and all the first digital stuff didn't really sound all that great, so it took a lot of, you had to work harder to make shit sound good, make a lot of moves that you normally wouldn't make on an analog console. you know, but at the end of the day, you just had to realize like whatever it took to make it sound like they want, you know. But as the years gone by, digital has gotten really good, you know, like really good. So it wasn't too much of a transition for me. So it's kind of started out when it was starting out.
So cool. And how about in-ears versus floor monitors?
They're both two different ball games, you know, that I have to make work together, you know, because a lot of bands use both, especially Slightly Stoopid. I'd have giant side fills and wedges on the floor, and then they one wants to wear one ear in and one ear out, and then the rest of the band wears ears, and so it's you know, it's just making it work. You know, it's easier if it's one way or the other, but in my case, and a lot of bands I work for, it's not that. I got to try to figure out how to make both work.
No doubt. And as far as where we are now, 2022, how things go in the pandemic, and how has the transition going back into full-time live shows? How has that gone?
Well, it was scary, you know, when it started, for sure, you know, wondering if we were ever going to do shows again, you know, but it's, you know, let up, and it really doesn't feel like there's a pandemic anymore, you know, and for me, it's been great. My phone's been ringing off the hook for work, you know, like a lot of bands are starting to roll and do things again. And I think also too, the pandemic weeded out a lot of the hacks, and, you know, people weren't very good that would underbid people that were good, you know. I think they found something else to do, because I really, you know, I haven't really seen any of that going on as much as I did, you know. But I've been fortunate.
That's a very good thing. Yeah.
It's like this year has definitely been good for me, you know, like since the pandemic ended.
Oh man, that is so great to hear. So let's do the name dropping. Who have you been working with either lately or just throughout your entire career up to this point?
I guess some bands of note. I was with Michael Franti and Spearhead for a long time, about 12 years. I've worked with artists like the Deftones. That was a fun one. Pop artists like Becky G. Other radio artists, Young the Giant, All American Rejects. I mean, the list goes on and on. You know. Right now, like I said, it was a band called Slightly Stoopid, and another band called Black Label Society. Has been the two bands I've been working with this year.
Man, that is so cool. So those have been your main guys this year.
Yeah, and hopefully for a while, you know. Both cancer.
I think that's a very kind of noble aspect of live sound. I would say, particularly monitors, because if you gel with the artist and the artists like how you make them sound on stage, I mean, they enjoy the show because they have good monitors, they will not let you go at all. They want to hang on to you for years to come, I would assume.
That's the end game, really, but a lot of it comes down to money too. Sometimes they can't afford to pay what you're worth, and some other bands can, you know, so sometimes you have to move on, or, you know, to make it work some other way, you know. Absolutely. So 100%
word of mouth and just doing a good job.
That's been my experience. Like, I really haven't had, you know, I have a resume, but I haven't really, you know, all my gigs I've gotten have been word of mouth.
Wow. That's just fantastic, man. Yes. Well, I mean, this sounds like a very stock question, but I have to ask. For anyone just getting into this, either whether it be live sound or just anything having to do with live entertainment, any advice, any words of wisdom that you wish someone had told you when you were starting out?
Don't take everything personally and thicken that skin up. You know what I mean? That's all I can. There's a lot of moving pieces and parts in live production. You know what I mean? And sometimes it gets stressful. You know, and People that lose their cool, usually don't last a whole long time, in this industry. But so you'll have a better time if you're able to thicken your skin up, be able to roll with some punches every once in a while.
Absolutely. I remember once you told me a story of at House of Blues that, that you would like it was a recurring thing that you would tell the interns to go get the long weight.
Yeah, that was a funny one. Sometimes you got to have some fun with them too, especially the ones that aren't really good, or you get some cocky ones every once in a while. So, you want to hear about the long wait story?
Of course, please.
So we'd get whatever kid or whatever, and I'd tell him to go out front and ask the lighting guy. I was like, hey, can you go outside and or go out front and ask Bruce for the long wait. I need the long wait back here. He'd be like, okay, I go, you know what that is, right? He'd be like, oh yeah, I know what the long wait is. I'm like, cool, yeah, go ask him, tell him I need one back here. So he'd go out front, he'd like, hey Bruce, Jess was asking for the long wait. He needs it. He's like, oh, okay, wait right here. And then he'd walk away, and then he'd be waiting there for a long time, a long wait.
That is amazing. That's genius. Yeah, and literally, I mean, there are people who just get so offended by something like that and then just quit, So that's why I'm saying that thick skin is golden advice, because it sometimes it's all in good fun, but sometimes you will be working with difficult people, but you still have to get the job done. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, sense of humor is definitely a part of it too. If you don't have one of those, you're going to have a hard time.
Most definitely. All right. Oh, well, Jess, thank you so much. You have no idea how much I appreciate this. All this information, this knowledge is priceless, and our students will be so thrilled to hear all about this.
I hope I was a help. I suck at these things, so.
No, always, man, always helpful. And as, just curiosity, let's say you were jumping into the After the Music platform, and you noticed that there were these type of interviews. Would there be a specific person you would be interested in watching or hearing their thoughts?
Oh, as far as people that do what I do, or just
either that people that do what you do, or just in the industry in general.
Oh yeah, I could think of a few people.
Like who? Let it drop some names, and we'll reach out.
There's one guy I can actually connect you with him. He's probably my biggest mentor. He taught me how to use the Avid profile over the phone when it first came out. Wow. He's definitely one of the most humble dudes, but yeah, probably one of the best engineers out there. His name is Sean Quackenbush.
Wow, definitely. I will take you up on that.
That's, we have been for years. So, there's like that. I got a whole laundry list of engineers and lighting directors, I could drop, but, yeah, I'm bad at name dropping.
No, awesome. Because, just talking to you, I get this just amazing vibe of being professional, but along with being professional, just never losing sight of just being someone who is easy to work with and someone who gets a job done. That's crucial.
It has to be that way, because if I'm stressed and the band sees that I'm stressed and they're supposed to come perform on that stage that I'm stressed on, and I'm stressing them out, and it's not good for anybody, So I want to. Which is weird, because I fell into this because I have such a temper, you know what I mean? So it's I had to learn how to not have that temper, to take things personally,
I'm sure they don't even know you have a temper. Yes, man. Well, brother, once again, thank you so much for doing this.
Anytime.
It's been an absolute pleasure. I enjoyed this immensely.